Remember, you don't get it twice, the time of your life.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Training in My Life podcast, episode 96. This week, stop worrying. No, seriously, stop it. Stop it now. It's just not doing any good, is it? And you know it's not doing any good. You just kind of let it get a hold of you. And it rattles around your brain. Sometimes you can push it to the back so that it's like a thing in the back of your brain, and you distract yourself. You have work to do, you concentrate on that, you forget about it, you think. But every time you pause, it's still there in the back of your brain. It's still worrying you. And it doesn't matter what the worry is, does it? You know, it could be, is your relationship on the skids? It could be you've never got enough money. How are you going to pay the bills at the end of the month? You hate your job. What are you going to do? You need rent money. You've got to work, but you don't like what you do. How are you going to change that? Move into a different position? It could be you hate where you live. You need to move out. You need to find somewhere else. You just don't know how to go about it, or where to go, or what to do. It could be, well, let's face it, it could be a million things that you're worried about. I was worried the other night. I came home a different way. And in my head, you know, I've got this thing and I've got all these different routes around London, and I know how to get by buses and trains and walking from place to place to make my way home. But I got off at a station I don't normally get off at. I had to run an errand, then I got back to the station and I was like, if I don't get to the next station before a certain time, rush hour is going to be 10 times worse. I'm going to end up standing on the train, and all these things were beyond my control. Absolutely beyond my control. I couldn't help it if the train went slow. Sometimes they're told to run slow on certain bits of the track. I couldn't help it if I got to the next station and the train I wanted was delayed. And if it was delayed, then more and more people would be lined up on the concourse just waiting for the number to tick over and show what platform it was going to be on, and then whoosh, everybody would rush for it. And I couldn't control how fast I got along the platform and got onto the train, and whether I got a seat or not. I couldn't control any of it. And in the end, I got to the station before the worst of the rush hour. I got on the train I needed to get on, and I got a seat. And I thought, I've spent probably the last hour worrying about that. And when you're worried, it has certain effects on your body. You know, when you become anxious, stressed, and your shoulders hunch and your neck muscles are tight, and you might have a headache and you might have a stomach ache. There's all these things that come with worrying about something. And it was all for nothing. It was all for nothing. And I could have saved myself all of that if I'd stopped myself from worrying. If I'd just said, no, stop now. It's just pointless. It's not productive to worry. It's just very negative. And it hurts us. It hurts our minds. It hurts our bodies. And we have to learn to just stop. Now, you're going to say to me, yeah, but it's on my mind and I need to think about it. Well, if you need to think about it, try and take back your power. When you're worrying about something, you're letting go of your power. It's all completely out of your control, which is true a lot of the time, but you can control how you react to what's happening, in that you can worry about it or not worry about it, or maybe find a way to do something to alter the outcome, to bring you closer to what you want, instead of worrying about the stuff that you don't want that's happening. So, like, you hate your job, okay? So you're getting up every day and you're worrying about what's happening, whether you can handle the work, whether you're being criticised even when you can handle it, stuff like that. Well, you can take the power back and, refresh your resume, your CV, and start putting it out there on websites and seeing if anybody's interested, seeing if anybody will offer you a job, offer you an interview, who knows, and then you start looking at ads for jobs and maybe you see stuff and think, I could probably do that. It's not the role I'm doing now, but I've got previous experience in doing that and I'm quite good at it, so maybe I could do that. And it opens up doors in your mind to other possibilities other than just worrying and worrying and worrying, which does you no good at all. And there are other positive steps that you can take to regain control of what's happening to you. This thing that I said, you might be in a place, renting a place where you hate where you live. You've got bad neighbours, or you've got housemates that are a nightmare, stuff like that. Then, start looking online at different places to rent. Start saving, even if it's a tiny amount every week. If you can save a tiny amount, eat a cheaper sandwich or something for lunch, then gradually you'll build up money for a deposit for rent in advance for the next place. And maybe you'll see something and maybe you start talking to people outside the circle that you normally have at home, at the place you rent and share. And, somebody at work says, oh, are you looking for somewhere to live? Because, my uncle's got a room and, it's a nice big house and there's never any problems and stuff. Sometimes the opportunity to change things sort of drops into your lap and it's just coincidence that something crops up, somebody wants somebody and you happen to be in the right place at the right time. But you took back that power because you started looking for somewhere instead of worrying about it. And it might be when you start looking, you think, well, I can't afford any of this. So look a bit further out or in a different direction. And if you were looking to rent a whole place, maybe look to share, but maybe sharing with somebody or somebody who knows somebody so that you know what they're going to be like. There's this thing about, there's the bills are piling up and you haven't got enough money. You've never got enough money. And it's a tough one, that is, but there are those tiny little things that always mount up. You change the brands you buy and start buying generic brands. You go to the cheapest supermarket there is and, you save like £10 a week on your shopping and that £10 will help go to pay the electric bill and things like that. They're small things, they're small changes, but they help. You go through your cupboards and find some clothes you can sell on Vinted or something you can eBay and think, I don't really need that. If I can get £5 for it, it's £5 that I can put towards that electric bill. And every little helps. And it's finding a way through, finding a way to change things so that you've got something to look forward to instead of something to worry about or less to worry about. But if you can control your worrying, then you will be happier in yourself. And when you're happier in yourself, you're more easily able to deal with the things that crop up that are negative, and you can see your way forward and you can think of ways much clearer when your head isn't full of worry, I don't know what I'm going to do, and you're so anxious, and the worry itself is just so it does you no good at all. It's not productive, it makes you miserable. Like I said, it affects you in the way that you could be anxious all the time. And then if you're anxious, you can't do your job properly. You find you're anxious when you're traveling to work, and it's just with you all day long. And if you can stop yourself from worrying, just occupy your mind in a different way, then at least you're letting yourself feel better so that you can have a happier life, basically. Yes, there are these problems to deal with, and sometimes it feels impossible to stop worrying. But if you can do it, if you take baby steps, actually, you do distract yourself from worrying with things, because you have to, because you're working or you're traveling, or if you went and played squash or you went for a run or something like that, you would distract yourself. And it's just distracting yourself more with happier thoughts that will help you stop worrying. I used to be terrible. Years ago, I would worry constantly about everything. When I look back on it, I think, what a waste of time. What a waste of time. And it's a waste of your time and a waste of your life. All those hours and weeks and months and years that you spend worrying. And you'll think that you can't stop. But if you try just for a little bit, sometimes if your mind's busy, like I have a long journey to work, and one of the things I got into was reading my Kindle on the way to work, and that would stop me thinking about what was going to happen in the workday. So instead of thinking, I've got that to do and I've got that to do, I would lose myself in the story that I was reading. And I found that very helpful to stop me worrying about what was going to be my day ahead and the things I would need to do. And I think we all have that ability to control our mind and take it in other directions. If you plug in your headphones and listen to a podcast like this one, for instance, then you are distracting yourself from that constant nagging worrying in your brain, and your brain likes it when you stop worrying. That's why meditation is so popular, and relaxation methods, all those things that get people to completely switch off and stop stressing about everything. One of those counterproductive worrying things is when you're worrying about a relationship you're in, because you're so busy worrying about saying the wrong thing or doing the wrong thing that you're not a very fun person to be with. And it's almost like you're creating the situation where your partner isn't going to be happy with you and might be considering leaving just by worrying about that possibility. Sit down, have a talk about it. Clear the air. And if you're thinking, well, I don't want to do that because I don't want them to leave. But if they're going to leave anyway, you might as well know, because it might be something that you can say, well, why don't we work on this? Maybe there's a way around this. Would you like to try? I'm willing to try. So think about how the worrying is affecting your partner, and they will know. They will be able to tell by your behaviour that something's on your mind, that something's distracting you, something's bothering you. Because if you've been with a partner for long enough, they can tell when there's something wrong. So yes, talk it out. Try and work things out, and good luck. So whatever you're worrying about this week, next week, whenever, whatever you're worrying about, just stop. Stop worrying. There is absolutely no point. And you're losing bits of your life to the worry. Don't do that. Life's too precious to do that, to waste it on worrying. If you enjoyed this podcast, please like, comment, subscribe, share with a friend, and come back next time. Bye for now.
This is the time of your life. Remember, you don't get it twice. The time of your life.